What's going on, guys? It is Jake, your boy, back at it again. Um, let's see. So it's been like a week, I think, around a week. Um, Part of doing the alchemy reflection things, part of my life is every couple weeks or a month, I like to take a couple days and kind of reflect on where I am, reflect on what I'm doing wrong, what I could do better. Kind of just internally go inside. So I've been doing that the last 5 days. So I'm gonna have a channeling up in a day or two. Kind of just what's that term, grounding, getting my bearings, whatever. Just I was pushing a lot of videos out there, and it took some energy out of me. So quality over quantity, absolutely. I'd rather do 2 videos a week and give good stuff and longer videos than do it multiple times a week and just shorter. Really want to improve on that. I want to improve on what I'm doing. Thank you, everyone that's been there. Everyone who's been supporting me. You guys have been great. But today the video is somebody messaged me and they wanted me to make a video on the visions I have. So I don't really know how to go about that besides just randomly trying to think and go through them. So obviously welcome you guys to sit and listen. So I think I might as well just start with last night, because I woke up. I've only been up for an hour maybe. I don't want to get in trouble for the branding, but you know where I got this from. You can see these colors, but basically I'm still drinking my coffee, trying to wake up. So sorry about that. Also, part of it is it's Thanksgiving, and no one's doing anything because my dad and my mom are separated. So my dad right now is visiting his dad in northern Wisconsin, having some family issues. So my mom is not really talking to my brother or me right now, and my brother is going to his wife's family's get together for Thanksgiving. So I'm here by myself all day and all night, so no Thanksgiving for me this year. So just gonna be me. So I may end up doing a channeling. Who knows? We'll see. So that was part of the reason why I'm doing this today too. It's Thanksgiving. No one's really doing anything. I know a lot of people will probably end up being on the internet watching. And it's hey, might as well. So, anyways, I don't know why. I just wanted to get that out there. But last 2 nights, actually. I've had some visions, so let's see. Last night, I had a dream. Well, I call it a dream, but you know what I mean. It was really weird. I was on a planet with 6 different moons. I remember just being mesmerized. I mean, oh my god, I can't believe it. But the people I was around were looking at me I was new. So I don't know if there were people who lived there. I have no idea. But I was pointing, and I was oh my god, this is beautiful, and look at this, and just totally in awe looking at the beauty. That's one of my favorite things. Probably a full 30 minutes every night I go outside and I look up at the stars, and I just communicate. I send intent. I vision myself sending energy out. I kind of just sometimes, and again, I just woke up, so I'm kind of here, kind of not. Sometimes I'll send intent out and just energy and just ask for that connection, to the different beings, So I do that all the time. But anyways, I love looking up. So in the dream, I was just sitting there just in awe, and it was purple, black skies. It was really dark. But I remember counting, I think it was 6 moons, and that was really cool. And then the 2 nights ago, the night before, so I know a lot of you guys have probably seen the video with Ivan recently where he's talking about physical contact, and he's talking about going into the woods or going somewhere where there's not as many people. So he gave me a reading about a week ago, and he actually said that message there first, which I thought was really weird how he's saying this to me in a personal reading, but then he's saying the same thing, to everyone. I mean, good, obviously. Want other people to have physical contact. But he was saying that that was part of why I was sick. I was in the hospital. He was saying I was getting my DNA readjusted. It was actually a good infusion, I guess. But I mean, you know, it was still sucked. It was painful. But he said that he sees the physical contact coming, so I've been trying to really take that seriously. And I even told him, it was funny. I was like, you know, I know you may just be saying this, but I was like, I'm taking this shit seriously, man. Like, I'm raising my vibration every day. I'm trying to connect more, trying to meditate more. I really want this. I don't just use this as a hobby, you know, it's like, this is my life. So the other night I was watching wrestling. SmackDown was on. Yeah, SmackDown was on. And I was watching wrestling, and I kept getting an image of Zeta in my room, like in my living room over there. That was really interesting. And then so I connected to him. I stopped. I tried getting into meditative mode, sending him unconditional love. And I kept getting an image of, like, it's really weird. So it could be a Martian, could not, but like a dark red Zeta-looking being. He kept sending me the same image of him. It was really weird. At first, I saw him like standing there and looking at me, just observing. But then I kept getting an image, almost like a portrait. It's really weird, you know, like a portrait of him, like it was a picture of him. But it's what, you know, you would imagine a gray Zeta would look like. But he was red, and then I'm getting this like weird spiral on his forehead. Not really sure what that means. And then let's see, about a week ago. And then 2 nights ago. So that same night, I went to sleep. I asked for them to come because I had that contact with Arcturians, which was awesome. I always try to ask for them to come every night. I'm not afraid of them anymore. I used to be afraid of, you know. Trust me, when you have a being in your room right in front of you and you're like looking dead, like, you know what I'm saying, straight at them, yeah, it's not the same feeling that you would just expect. You might think that, oh, this is going to be easy, whatever. It's not easy. It's definitely different. Just being in the presence of something that kind of like breaks down the walls of everything that, you know, in this trap we're born into. Just, it's great, but yeah, it's a lot stronger of a feeling than you would think. But anyways, I always ask for the Arcturians, so I felt a Zeta presence, and then when Ivan did that video talking to everybody about the physical contact, he channeled the Zetas, and the Zetas were saying that they really want contact with people. And they're one of the ones that I haven't really made contact with. I haven't done a channeling with them. Yeah, they've sent me stuff, but I just haven't, it's almost like they reached out to me, but I didn't connect and reach out to them. It's them, it's the Zetas, which I'm actually okay with them. But it's them and the insect. I don't connect. I don't want to connect to the bugs, to the insectoids. I can't. I've connected to the mantis beings. To me, they're a little different. But I have a really bad negative past with the insectoids, and Ivan even did a reading once and said that it's because I was in some really old ancient Orion wars. And this ties into one of the visions that I'll talk about. I basically had a vision. I had an encounter with the feline Arcturian, and he was saying that my past with insectoids was actually helping that feline, like I was on his side in the war with them. And then so I just know the nastiness that they can bring, and I literally get sick to this day of bugs. And I found out when I first started discovering all this stuff that I'm very, well, I've always known I was hypersensitive. I was labeled that when I was little. If I'm close enough to a bug, I could smell it. And to me, it is the absolute worst smell in the world. It makes me sick. I can't look at a bug without getting sick. You know those close-up pictures of spiders and even a mantis, you know, even though they're really not that bad to look at, I can't take it. I will throw up. I get scared. Bugs are my biggest fear. I know a lot of people have a lot of fear of them, but mine is like, it's so bad that every time I get an image of the insect, and they do it just because they know I can't take it, because they're not, I know there's positive ones out there, like everything. There's good and bad. But I just choose not to. And even when they do connect to me, I will purposely send them white light and the golden light, send them unconditional love, but say, I'm sorry, I am not ready to connect with you right now. But I also know, and I will say, the day I do connect with you, it's going to be a big deal. Because this is like my hardest connection, basically. So when that day comes, that will be very interesting. But I know I kind of went on a rant there with the bug thing. So 2 nights ago, I went to sleep, and I asked for the Zetas to come. And then it was really weird. So I don't know where I went to, but it was almost like I woke up in my room, but it wasn't my room. So I honestly think my astral self was just coming out of my bed, basically. But I woke up, and there were like 30 of them around. Like, I'm talking like just sitting there, just looking like I'm swarmed around these beings. But it was really weird. They looked like shadows, which is very, I don't understand. But that's the thing. We don't understand all these things. So they looked like shadows, and they were like all black. But I can see their eyes. I can see them looking at me, and it wasn't anything bad. Like, I wasn't scared. But it's kind of funny how we don't see the other side completely. So, for example, I've known that there have been Zetas around, but to like actually see like, oh, there's like lots of you, it's a whole different side. It's really funny how closed off we are, unless you really, connect. And I haven't connected as much in the past couple days. That's part of the reason why I haven't done the channeling too. I want to do a lot better. I want to get more information. I want to go up in the steps, so I'm doing this carefully. I'm not going to try to dish out video after video, like I said, quality over quantity any day. Let's see. I can probably go back to, okay, this is another one that I had not too long ago, and then I'll go back to like when I first started, because there's so many that I'm just not gonna touch. Basically, I already know. I'd have to sit here for 2-3 hours and talk. But okay, so about 2 weeks ago, I was in a last night. That's another one too. I got into a meditation last night, and I basically have not like been doing as great. Just dealing with a whole bunch of stuff, like I'm not sad really or anything. But just dealing with stuff and kind of like at that point where it's almost like, okay, I'm having humility. I'm going back to like level 1. I need healing. Please help me. Like now I need the one who I need the help. So I got in the meditation last night, and then I kept seeing this like really short, about, where's my hand? Maybe that tall, really, really short. Like a blue fairy being with, she was like a spirit form, but like it wasn't see-through like a ghost. She was like blue and green, which I see a lot. I don't know why. She was like blue and green. She was beautiful. Long hair, blue eyes with this green hair energy. Looked like an elemental probably. But I saw her, and it was really nice to connect to something, because sometimes you feel that disconnect, or like they're testing you, so you'll go a couple days or even a week without the channelings, without the images, without stuff, because they're testing you, because they want to see how you're going to do without this stuff if something happens, which is very important. So at those times you want to just ground and meditate, connect to Gaia, do what you do, keep your vibration high, and that's how you pass those times. So I think I'm probably in a little testing period right now, which is okay. It's been a while. But I saw that last night, and that was very helpful. A lot lately. Yeah, you know what? I'll show you guys a picture. Let me get my phone. Alright, Joe. A lot lately, there's been a being I've been seeing the most out of, I'm talking like everybody, and I think I showed you guys a picture already, but not an issue to me. So I found out that this is just, another Arcturian. And for some reason, I feel like I may have the first contact, like the physical contact with these guys, just because like their influence for the last like 2 months has been, like every 2 or 3 days I see them for months now. So the more amphibian, there you go, amphibian Arcturian. And I wake up and they're just right next to my bed, stared at me, just right there. And again, this is third eye. This isn't. If I saw them physically, which Ivan said I'm going to, he was like, you're going to that point. You're getting to a point where he's like, you're already seeing them, so that's not an issue. You know they're there. Like I'll know a being's 5 feet in front of me staring at me. So that's not an issue. But he was like, it's gonna go from like you can kind of see them till you see them more in spirit form, and it's gonna get to the point where they're physically there, and it's like, hello, there's nothing you can do. So that's really cool. But I'll just wake up, I'll be sleeping on my side, and I'll wake up in the middle of the night, or I'll wake up in the morning, or I'll be asleep in the astral, and I'll see myself sleeping, but then I'll see them right there, just kind of like monitoring me. They don't like to talk. They don't like to communicate as much, which is really weird. But the Arcturians are very, there's so many different types of them. It's not like I'm going to connect to one and I'm connecting to all. Like, yes and no. Yes, there's a collective, but there's so many different types spread out of all beings. It's much bigger than we think. So just to accept that you're not going to understand it all makes it easier. The Arcturians are very secret. They don't talk unless they have to or unless they really want to say something. And they're like they're my closest personal friends. Like I literally feel that feeling that you have of family, where it's like this is your family compared to other strangers, other people that closest. Like I feel that with them the most. I may have a lot of the reptilian DNA, but I'm mainly Arcturian in this lifetime, and that's like that. Those are my people, and that's who I'm gonna go to. Still haven't run into a negative one, which I know they're out there, but I've never even heard of a story of a negative Arcturian, I just never have. Very interesting. So there's that. Yeah, I guess I'll talk about that blue feline since that's already on my mind. So I've seen him 3 times. I almost channeled him 1 time, but it was when I was learning how to channel, and I didn't like. It was that moment I was talking about before where like I was channeling but not really knowing I was channeling, and I was trying to make it bigger than it was for me at the time and at the current time. But basically I went to sleep one night, like I said, and then I woke up and he was in a blue suit, like a dark navy blue, almost black, but it was also the middle of the night. A dark blue, like the Star Trek type of suit, And what I saw was a little different than what Ivan saw, but it was the same being. I saw like it was weird, and again because it was dark and this isn't my eyes like this, it's gonna be different. I saw like a blue and black and white like fur around him, very tall, muscular, buff as all hell. Absolute beast of a being, probably like 8 foot, 8 feet tall. But anyways, he was a feline. Definitely got the male energy from him, more male than female. But he was wearing the blue suit, super buff chest, and he was smiling though at me, looking down at me, just acknowledging me. And I'm trying to remember his name. I got a name. It's been a while. Hayden. That's what it was. It was Hayden. Hayden was the name. That's what Ivan got from him. Not me, but Ivan got that. So it was Hayden, and I saw him. And then when I went to the workshop, and that's where I had a lot of visuals too, so I can talk about that as well. When I went to the workshop, I saw him again, but I saw him kind of like he wasn't wearing the suit. But when I saw him, I can just tell it was the same energy, basically. Like, it was very familiar to me. And I just kind of connected, like, oh, it's you. And, that was the second time, so I already knew. But I was in the log cabin where we had to sleep, like the cabins, and I was asleep. But I remember standing up, and those times where you're in spirit form, so it's like you think of being like, let's say you're in your house, and then you think of being in one room, and you're just there, and it's like, you don't weigh anything, you're just kind of, you're a thought floating, like consciousness. So yeah, I was like that, and I was in the cabin, and I saw him, and he was standing, but this time he didn't wear a suit. And he almost reminded me of what's that guy from X-Men? The blue lion looking guy, the Beast guy. I think his name might be Beast. I don't know. I'm not a comic book person. I'm not really. But like the blue furry beast dude who's like a professor, like he almost looked like that, had that kind of energy. But this time he was smiling in like a big smile, and he was waving at me, which I get waves a lot, which is really weird. Like I'll just be doing my day out of nowhere, then I'll get an image of like a Gray or an Arcturian or someone behind me or next to me, just sitting there, and just like I'll see that, and I'm like, whoa, like take a step back. Very interesting. So I had that. I don't really know much about why he was there. I asked Jim, Jim Charles, obviously, you guys know. So I asked Jim, and Jim was like, yes, he's very happy that you are here and that you made the decision to come here, basically, and he sees that this is going to be very beneficial for you. So just happy and, showing his support. It was like, cool, awesome. Let's see. Because I know not everyone watches all my videos, really quick I can talk about that encounter I had. I went to sleep one night, and I was listening back on some of the things that I had with Ivan the other day. I was on the treadmill, and I like grouped up all the readings that he's ever given me. It's probably like 2 hours worth maybe of stuff, something like that. Like 15-minute videos adding up to 2 hours. Something like that. I'm not sure how long, but I was listening to all of them, and so I was kind of like reflecting on everything I've experienced, kind of like what I'm doing with this channel. Like I'm reflecting for the past week on how things are going, how I'm doing, what I can do better, what I forgot. You know what I'm talking about? Just building myself a stronger base, basically. But with the Arcturian encounter, I guess the angels, I forgot about this, I guess the angels were helping out, and the angels helped establish this connection. So that's really cool. But I went to sleep not thinking anything's going to happen, because that's how it always happens. It's, they love coming when you don't expect it. Like I've said before, if you're sitting there all the time just waiting, they're not gonna come. As soon as you give up and you start living your life, because that's kind of what you should do, You got to still live your life. That's why we're here. We're here to just connect. Sorry. And to not fall on our faces. And you know what I'm saying? You got to not know sometimes. But anyways, they love doing that. So I went to sleep not thinking anything of it. And I woke up in the middle of the night. And I know I've said this before, so I'll try to speed it up. Woke up in the middle of the night. And where's my hand again? Like about this tall, maybe a little taller, was the blue Arcturian. Really big head, really big fingers. He had 3 fingers, but they were like really big. Like I know I did this in the other video. It was like 3 of these, like it was huge. On each hand, the 3 fingers, huge. He looked beautiful. Like, when you look at, and this is what really mesmerized me about him, is, when you look at the lapis lazuli crystal, how it's blue, but it has like the golden and the little specks in it, and it's not just like blue, there's other stuff in it. It's really weird. I saw almost like that on his head, on his skin, which was really awesome. It's cool. And that's another thing I get into. A lot of times I'll see Arcturians, and it's really weird. It's like I'll see them, but when they communicate with me, I'll see this like white consciousness light up in their head. Like I see things moving all around. Like imagine if you can see through my face. But not so you can see like the blood and stuff, but imagine if you could see energy moving, or like every time I have a thought, you see something spark up in here. I see that, which is really weird. I don't know how to describe that. But I see that very clear. But anyways, he waddled over to me, which was kind of funny. It was almost like a penguin walk, you know, not trying to be mean. And well, my camera just did something weird. Maybe they're around. I don't know. But he did this weird like penguin walk thing, and then he came over to me, and my hand was hanging off my bed, and he shook my hand, kind of like letting me know he was there. And like I've said before, I couldn't move. I wasn't scared, but I was in that awe. Like I can't like jaw drop. What's gonna happen to me? And like I've talked about before, which made it very positive, is I was so vulnerable at that moment because, you know, I just woke up and there's this being right next to me on my bed about to put his hands on my head, and he's doing something. And I literally I didn't have the fear, but like I've talked about before, I literally thought, okay, either he's about to do something amazing and my life's going to change forever, which it did, or I may die right now, or he may take me or brain wipe me, whatever, I don't know. So I looked at him kind of like my entire life right now is in your hands, because what am I going to do, you know? But it was very positive, very, very positive. And he put his two fingers like on my head. And then I heard it last night, and I hear it every once in a while. So I wonder if it's something that has to do with him. But I heard this loud buzzing, ringing in my head, not with my ears, but in my head. Like I heard it, like the telepathy, you know. And he put his fingers on my head, and I heard this loud, just vibrational sound, almost like he was powering me up with something. And then I passed out because I couldn't take it. And ever since then, I've been more sensitive. I can see energy, and I get more images of things right before they happen. Like, you know, 5 minutes before something will happen, boom, I'll get it. Or, you know, someone will call me, like, and I'm starting to think this might be remote viewing, I'm not sure. Like, I'll be in the shower, like the other day, I was in the shower, and then my dad called me. And then, as soon as I heard my ringtone ring, I got an image of my dad in his house, calling me, walking around, doing something. And then so I asked him when I picked up the phone later when I called him back, I'm like, you know, were you walking around? Were you in this room? Were you doing this? He's like, yeah, why? And I'm just like, whoa, like I've been getting that a lot lately. Like I'll just see, you know, it's like not like my spirit's there, but for some reason I can see what's going on in certain places. And that will lead me on to the next couple visions. And I've been getting this like a lot in the last few months. I don't know why. But when I work out, because working out's very important to me, I do it as much as I can. I run like 30 to 40 miles a week. Let's see. So I lost like the 150 pounds, like I told you guys. So, you know, I do that like religiously. But it's really weird. I get connections when I'm on the treadmill. And I don't know if it's because I'm not sitting there thinking about all this like I am, but I'm not. My meditation, I call it my masculine meditations when I'm on my treadmill. I'll run, I'll connect to the sun. I don't know why I connect to the sun when I run. There's times where I've even like thought of like connecting to the sun, and then like as soon as I connect, like that moment happens where the sun rises for like a couple minutes and then it goes away. It's really creepy, you know. Like I was like, whoa, like that's very weird. And I have asked Ivan about that, and he did say for some reason I'm connected to the sun very much. He was like, you like open a portal or something when you connect to the sun, and that's why a lot of the times when I'm running, when I get off, like for like a break, you know, to get some water or something, or put some water on my face, I'll see, and it's the vegans, I can't pronounce it, I don't know. But I'll see this like in the shape of like a humanoid, you know what I'm talking about, like feet, head, standing, bipedal, whatever. I get shapes of energy, of like green energy. So imagine if you saw the shape of me, but no features, but just like a green energy form that's standing like right there, you know. I get that all the time, and it turned out 2 times. It turned out to be Yeshua. It was Jesus, which was very, very cool. But most of the time it's the vegans, again, whatever. I don't know why they're around me. I got confirmed they're around me for some reason. I don't know. But anyways, so I'll be on the treadmill and then I'll just get an image. Like there's a couple times where I was running and I just get an image of being on a ship, or like the remote viewing. Like it's weird. Like I'll have an image of being on a ship and having all these like Pleiadians looking at me. You know, kind of like I don't know why I'm thinking of this, but this is the best way to describe it. Like as if I had a connection to like a camera or something, and let's say I can see what's going on the camera, and then like let's say it was on like their ship and one of them found it, so they're like looking in, but it's like I can see that, you know, I get that image in my head. And if you want to know what they look like, it's really weird. It's similar to a Nordic, but not as much. Nordics, I get more of a bigger, I wouldn't say buffier, but more toned, more like jaw structure. You know what? I don't know how to describe it. I just get like there's a big difference to me. But with the Pleiadians, it's their eyes they're not so much bigger like the Zetas and Arcturians, like none of that, but they are bigger. That's the first thing that you're gonna see, is that their eyes are probably, I heard this in a video recently, so this isn't me, I'm taking this. Someone said that it's like a third of like our eyes bigger, something like that. And that's a really good way to put it, because it's not too much, but at the same time it's like, whoa, it's like it looks different. They look like a future human basically. But yeah, the blonde hair, the big eyes, couple of them had white and black eyes. It was almost like the white and black contacts. And I've channeled Arbutron before, and that's what Arbutron has. He has blonde hair, black and white, like white with black pupil type of, you know, eyes. Very distinct. And it's kind of funny. Looks like a dick, but he's not a dick. It's really weird. It looks like he wouldn't be that nice. And then for some reason, on some of them, I get like very big, they don't stick out, but like they have bigger teeth. And some of their like a fanged tooth. I don't know how to describe it. It's just what I saw. Wearing not like a white shirt, but like a white robe thing, like a monk robe, you know. But yeah, like they were looking down at me. And it's kind of like when you think of when you look at Ashtar in the pictures. You know, there's that one picture of Ashtar that's all over the internet, everyone sees. Very similar to that. And then a lot of times I'll be on the treadmill. I had this a few weeks ago. I texted a couple people, and I got an image of looking at Earth on a ship. I was on a ship, but I was looking at Earth through like a monitor. So this is gonna touch some people. No, I am not talking about the flat Earth, because I do not believe that. But I will go in the middle with this big war between these people. When I was looking at the Earth through the monitor, it wasn't a globe. Okay, it wasn't a globe. I have had visions of, and I think it's my Andromedan aspect. It was when I first started awakening. I have had many visions of, you know, like when like the astronaut is right outside the Earth and they're looking at the globe and all that. I've had that. I know I've talked about that. And like the smell that comes with it, I always get. It's a smell you're never gonna smell anywhere else, basically. Really, excuse me, don't know how to describe it. But yeah, like it's weird. It's looking at the world. I'm trying to think of how to describe it. And some of these multidimensional things you just can't describe, you know? You just can't. The best way to put it's a grid. but I'm not going like a rectangle, and yeah, I have seen it in the sphere, but I've seen it almost like a holographic grid of Earth, but it's not a globe, you know. It's almost like looking at a map and then going into the map, if that makes sense. But I have also had, and so this, you know, will help on the side of it, because I don't believe the whole, like, yes, 3D, this Earth is a globe, and maybe in the higher dimensions they look at it differently, but the globe's definitely there. And I have had a vision which, for some reason, this particular vision has been coming back. And Ivan always tells me, you need to get on this. You need to talk about the alternative realities. He's like, not a lot of people are connecting and talking about that. He's like, you really need to. I think you're, basically, he's like, I think you're striking gold here, and you don't realize it, kind of. But I'm very connected to alternative realities in some ways. And I had one where I was on a ship, and I was with a whole bunch of Greys. And these were probably the smallest beings I have ever seen. These were not, you know, again, where's my hand? These were not like this tall. These were like short. I'm talking like 2 feet, you know, like really, really short. Really small ship for some. I've been on some big ass ships, but this was like a really small ship, with like 5 of them. And they were all kind of in a circle, but they were in their seats, you know, with their harness thing on. And this is a thing that I don't know. I don't know if I was one of them. That's what I'm assuming. I'm assuming it was, you know, my spirit, because that's how it works. My spirit in a Zeta, a gray form. So it could be that. I really don't know. I can't answer that. But what I remember is being in the ship, being right outside of Earth. And then I remember actually going down and seeing and feeling that feeling when a spaceship flies into Earth real quick, you know, like I'm talking, you know, less than 10 seconds I'm in space and then I'm on the actual ground of the Earth somewhere. And it gave me an extremely, extremely nauseating feeling, which is really weird. So that's why I don't know if I was one of them or if I was me, because if I was one of them, I probably would have been used to it. But it completely threw me off. I got really nauseous. But it was alternative Earth. And we landed, it was weird. We landed in, it almost reminded me of an airport, like overnight. It was at night, it was dark. But the airport was not like a main airport. You know how there's a lot of those country airports where like small planes and things go in and out, and it's kind of out, like I said, in the country, and it's like not like a commercial for regular people airport, basically. It was like that. But the really weird thing is, just like how when I get images, like I was telling this to my mom recently, they're really showing me how to think in a multi-dimensional way, not linear. And I know, and I have gone back, I know I say linear in a lot of my channelings, but they use the words with you. If you look at any channel, they use certain words in a lot of their videos. What it is, I don't care. Anyways, but they've really taught me to not think so linear. Like, I'll see a picture, but like a paragraph worth of information comes with that picture. So a lot of the times people will message me, ask me questions if I can like look, if I can get a visual of something. I don't know why I'm doing this. Get a visual of something, and then so I'll get the visual, but within the visual, it's like I'll see a one picture thing. But when I see that one picture, I get, like, I can tell you about it, and I know the information. It just comes with it, you know? It's like what Cryon says about how there's, you know, people type with a typewriter very linear. And then imagine if the typewriter was stuck. So you kept typing the letters, but it stayed at one place. They would be able to look at that one big blob of letters and read all of it, but we can't, you know? So it's like I'm thinking in that way. I'm starting to. I'll get the image, but then I'll get all this information with it. Very interesting. Let's see. This is a really cool one, too. And I think my uncle was actually helping me connect to this because I know that was the last channeling I did. But I went to Agartha about 4 days ago, I think it was. I went to Agartha, and it was absolutely amazing. I can tell you guys, I've been on other worlds. I remember Mars. I remember Atlantis. I remember Neptune. I remember being in the Andromeda system. I remember being on. It wasn't the rings of Saturn, but it was the rings of somewhere like Saturn. And guys, Agartha is like the coolest freaking place, man. I mean, it's. I almost look at it as cool as Atlantis looked. Absolutely beautiful. But a ton of dinosaurs. Holy shit. I don't know why, but there are a ton of dinosaurs, man. I saw all, and they were the ones from kind of like Jurassic Park. What are those ones where they don't eat the meat? They're the nice ones, and they have like the really long giraffe necks, and they're huge. You know, the really long neck with the little head, but then they have the big bodies. I saw those everywhere. It was like nature galore, man. It reminded me of, like, I've never seen Avatar, but I've seen pictures of the movie Avatar, just like the forest, and it's so nature-wise. It's almost like going back in time, like maybe I could have did that too, but I'm feeling it's Agartha, and it was different. I remember that. I remember a weird, and this is coming to me right now, so wow. I remember a weird, extremely small sun. Yeah, a weird, extremely small sun. And then I remember an ocean and a beach. But then I went somewhere else where there wasn't the beach, and that's where the dinosaurs were. And right now I'm seeing almost like Arcturian-looking beings. Oh, and I don't want to say it's Anunnaki, but I've seen an Anunnaki before, and it's very similar. So they could be in Agartha. I'm not sure. That's one thing I can talk about too, is the Anunnaki, for sure. So I've seen them, and it was not a pretty picture. It was similar. The best way to describe it, it was kind of like in that Prometheus movie, Alien, whatever. With those, like, keeper, I don't even know what they're called, those people who were bald, and, you know, like, remember at the beginning of the movie, the guy, like, killed himself, and so his seed, whatever, you know, could, like, his seeds or DNA can go in the earth. It was kind of like that, but not as much. It was more blue. He looked more blue. It was chubbier, and he looked extremely pissed off. Whoever it was not happy I was there. Not really sure who it was. That was when I first started awakening. I kind of dived in. I wasn't as cautious, you know, which honestly was a good thing. I saw a lot more when I first started awakening than I am now. Yeah, I mean, it was really weird. Very powerful, but kind of like, almost like, don't mess with them. Just go away. That's the best thing to do. Just go away. Because they're not going to treat you nice. Basically, I've had connections with Anunnaki. I've seen Ashura. That's how I was taught to pronounce it, Ashura. I've seen Ashura. She's wanted me to do channelings before, but because it's the Anunnaki and they get a lot of negative reputations, I haven't bothered. She was pushing me to channel the Divine Feminine, which I may end up doing just because she's been there for a long time, and it's kind of like, why haven't you listened to me? Why aren't you connecting? Why aren't you doing, you know? But it's like, I'm in control. It's up to me if I want to connect to that, you know? So, just being cautious. Let's see. I had one. I was in a, and I know I'm going to go over the time, so this may be a part 1, part 2 thing. But I also had one of, and this was probably about maybe a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. I asked the Arcturians for some healing. I was really not doing good. My energy was down. I was depressed. I was starting to get sick, and I didn't know why. And I just felt like desperate, basically. So I didn't know what was going on with me. I thought it was something a lot worse than it was, and I asked for some healing. And I woke up on a ship again, very common, and it's really weird. I almost got like, you're back, take a break from your life, rest, we're here to help you. And I woke up with this, the only way to describe it is like a blue meteor, a space rock, I don't know, just like a blue rock with holes. But it almost, and again, it had like that lapis lazuli design on it, like it was a rock slash crystal. Because even though it looked like a rock, as it like it would, because it was constantly turning. I don't want to spill this, but like it was constantly in a motion like this, and it was floating above me, right, I'm talking right next to me. Like I was laying down on a table or a bed. It was very comfortable. So imagine if you wake up and you're abducted by like Greys or whatever, and you're on an operating table. I was like on a table like that in a room, and it was dark, and there were beings, I'm just getting this right now, that were watching me, almost like that. When they interrogate people and there's that window where you can't see through, but they're watching you. Like I'm getting that right now. But it was a blue rock, but as like it would turn and get closer, I saw sparkles, and I saw a lot of just beautiful golden energy. But when I went there, I realized where I was, and I was like, whew, I can finally take a break. I can finally let go of this human form for a little bit, and I can just rest knowing I'm in the comfort and the care of my people, basically. Because like I said, the Arturians are like my people. Very protective of them. But yeah, so they gave me healing. It was a crystal rock something. And I felt really, really good. I felt calm. And then I woke up the next morning, and I had just a terrific day. I had an amazing day. I felt relaxed. I felt rejuvenated. I felt like my chakras were like, they went from 10% to 100% in that one night. So I remember waking up and just giving them a lot of praise and thanks for helping me, Let's see. I know I'm going to go over here, so I'm trying to just manage this as fast as possible. One of the ones that I can definitely have... Okay, I can go into some past lives if you guys would like. I had one when I first started awakening to the Arcturians, because they're the ones who reached out to me first. Okay, yeah, I'll start with that. So when they first connected with me, I would get images, and this is before I was aware of the whole... my alien side, connection, star seeds, the psychic, intuition stuff, all this stuff. I was just researching, that's all. I just knew something was leading me on, but I thought it was a god or something. I kept getting images of being on planets, or like floating from planet to planet, and then pictures of being on a ship and being in space, and very detailed, to the point where I was like almost getting scared. Kind of like I knew something big was gonna happen, but I didn't know what. But because I'm a thrill seeker and I'm a huge risk taker, which is bad, I was kind of like, hey, let's have some fun with this, see where it goes. So I was having those for a while, looking like I was on like moon type places, which I remember being on the moon once, and it was terrifying. It wasn't good. So I won't get into that. But I remember I was in my mom went to the hospital, and she needed me to watch her dog, so I was sleeping at her house. And then I fell asleep. I remember Muggs, the dog that just passed away like last week. It's part of the reason why I haven't been here, just kind of getting back from all that. But me and Muggs were sleeping. I was asleep. And then I got an image in my head of all these green symbols. Everything was black. And then it was these green S's. And let me show you guys right quick. Okay. So this is what I saw. And they were all green. I know this person used pink or whatever. But it was very similar to these. very similar to that S one that was up there. So I saw them, and I really didn't know what this meant. I didn't know it was an activation. And then so after that, I started getting those really weird visuals, and then I started getting the past lives. So the first past life was in Egypt, and I remember, it's not easy to remember, but I remember being murdered. Definitely not a fun time for me. And basically what happened was, it's weird. I was close to like whoever the pharaoh was, but I wasn't at that power, that prestige, you know. Like I was probably just like a common worker, slave person, whatever. But I was enlightened. And that's a very big theme in my past lives, in the Martian lives, the reptilian lives, and these lives, my human lives, are mainly from being a doctor and being a priest. Those are my two themes. I was a doctor and a priest, so helping people is my majority of it, you know. But anyways, I remember being given an option. It was like a weird ancient pharaoh court thing, and they were basically giving me the option of saying that either I obey to the rules and I obey and follow the belief systems that they had, or I would be like a martyr or whatever, and they would murder me. And I remember my guides being there, even though the other people couldn't see them. And I remember them basically saying like, this transition is about to happen. So I confidently took the knife. You know, I was like, I'd rather die than basically given and worship to a false god when I see the truth, you know. And again, that's what makes, you know, some of this stuff complicated, is like, even back then, you know, it's like I saw the truth, I wanted peace, I didn't want war or anything, but because you have a different opinion than the majority of people, like the religion nowadays, I was killed, you know. So I literally remember just, you know. And then I remember when that happened, it was a definite quick, like there was a quick pain. But after it happened, everything started fading out. And I remember like fade to black is the best way to describe it. It was like everything faded out, almost like a darkness quickly going across my eyes. But then a second later, I was in like a spiritual world. And that's all I really remember from that. So that's very interesting. And then I had one of waking up. I went to sleep and I woke up and I went into a past life of an Arcturian, and it was when they were trying to awaken to me, and Ivan helped me out with this. And I am not someone who, I'm not looking for, you know, a high rank above people, you know, so I really didn't like this dream. But apparently I was like an Arcturian king, I guess. I had a crown. And there were all these Arcturians, and I was sitting at this like on like this like king throne thing in this altar, and I was in this room with these huge, giant pink crystals. I'm talking like 50-foot crystals, and crystals that are this big, and they were pink. But they were like generating the power in the room in the ship. But I remember like having all these Arcturians on me, and I didn't like it. And they were decorating me, and they were putting clothes, like, you know, they were treating me like a king, which I'm not cool with. So I remember asking Ivan, I was like, is this, you know, an egotistical side of me? Or like, is this a past life? What's going on? And he was like, the Arcturians are basically trying to wake you up, showing you that you have deep connections with them, and that you're blessed, basically. You're protected by them. You got some importance with them. So that was very interesting, and it was really hard to see them. But when I saw the Arcturians, again, I would see blue and pink energies moving throughout their bodies. It was almost like, you know, they were blue, but I can see through them. But I could see these beautiful energies all over, and it was just so different. I know a lot of you guys have this. To have the visions of being somewhere that's just so not worldly, it's really cool, you know. It almost like, I feel like every time you have those visions, your consciousness kind of expands, you know. It kind of expands, or like the room gets bigger, like you're making more room for bigger things. Okay, this is gonna end in like 5 minutes, so let me think. What else? I remember being on Mars. I can tell you guys about that. I remember being on Mars. Mars was absolutely one of my favorite times. But there were 2 times that I remember, one good, one bad. So Mars had a very jungle-like atmosphere, or environment. Sorry, not atmosphere. Very jungle-like. A lot of very peaceful, like people. Basically, okay, the people who lived there were so proud to be from there. And it's just really sad how everything turned out with Mars, because it is like the planet that has a lot of. I just look at it as a PTSD planet, honestly. That's a good way to put it. There's so much shit that happened. It's like it's still being affected to this day. But I remember like jungle-like animals, and it was beautiful, and there were tribes of people, and we lived like nomads, and it was very different. I remember the houses were different. The houses were alive. I think I even heard this in a channeling before too. Yeah, I think like a year or two ago, I was watching one from like that Zachariah kid. I don't know how old he is. From Hooklo. I think he was talking about how like organic. It was him or someone else. They were talking about like organic houses. You can like plant a house, and it's like a growing, living environment, and that's how it was on Mars. That's what I got from it. Very loving, like your home is your family too, and everyone. It was almost like that love that people have for like the Native American tribes and getting together and oneness, and that was very beautiful. But then I also remember, and that was more of like not a human form exactly, but more of a human form, because I also have another one of looking more like a Martian, more like a Zeta, a gray type of look, and that was very bad. That was when I was on the opposite side of Atlantis at the time. I lived on Atlantis, and then I had times of helping destroy Atlantis, which I feel really like not helping, but I was on the side that basically wanted to bring down Atlantis, and I was against it. But one little old alien against hundreds of thousands of other ones, it's not going to do anything. So they saw the rise in the feminine, and they saw how strong basically Earth was in Atlantis and humans were. And then so I remember the Martians being very intimidated and not happy about this. And it was almost like a power struggle. So what they did was they devised a plan to go to Earth, to act like they were friendly, and to bring a whole bunch of their masculine, dominant, domination against females, a lot of slave mentalities. They brought it to Earth, and then so they basically were like a virus, sending a virus in a way to the Atlanteans. And I remember being against it, and there were people on my side. There definitely were. But I remember being against it and not being able to do anything about it. And that's why Ivan told me, he's like, a lot of times you're brought into a group or an environment where there's big changes or something bad's going to happen, but you always end up being on the good side. And he was like, because you don't always win, because not everything's fair, he was like, you have a lot of deep pain from those times. So that's one of them. I'm trying to think. I mean, I've had so many others. I'm just trying to think right now of anything really big. I think I'm going to stop it here, and I'm going to make another video, and I'll keep it short. So again, I just randomly made this. Someone wanted me to. I got asked to. Someone was like, I'd really love it if you shared some of your visions. So I was like, sure, why not? Even though I channel, that's my strength. It's the visions, and it's like I can choose to channel. I can't choose these visions. I'll be living my day, and then it just comes. Like when I was driving home from the hospital, after all that stuff happened a couple weeks ago, I was driving home, and I kept seeing images of the fourth dimensional Earth and UFOs and beings, and it was very different, but it was like I couldn't control it, and I try not to connect to that while I'm driving, because I'm driving, I want to be safe, I don't want to hurt myself or anybody else. So, you know, you can't control all that stuff. So, I know some of you guys will only watch this video, so thank you for watching this. I'm going to make the other video, and see you guys pretty soon. So, alright, thank you guys. Bye.